After 15 years as a principal, our next guest thought she knew autism inside and out. When her grandson was diagnosed, suddenly she was on the other side, asking the same questions she had answered for other families for years. Her personal and professional worlds collided. She realized that grandparents play a crucial, often overlooked role. Jennifer Kaufman is sharing practical advice in her book, Grandparenting on the Spectrum, a journey from both sides of the desk. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. You're from the New Jersey area. You live in New Jersey. You were a special ed principal, in which,
Yes.
It means so much more today as we know so much more about the neurodivergent community. And so you were working with other kids, and then when did you find out that it was hitting home?
So about 8 years ago, my grandson is 8 years old. So maybe it was 5 years ago, we started noticing there were things that were not classical markers of that progress that you would see in a typical child. Yeah. And so he received the diagnosis of autism.
Yeah, you're the founder of First Response Autism, founder of Grandparenting on the Spectrum. When did you make the connection with grandparents? And by the way, many more grandparents today are raising their grandchildren because their children are kind of out of the picture. And sometimes they realize, wait, that's what my child was dealing with, but was never diagnosed.
Yes, absolutely. So there is quite the connection. You wouldn't think it, right? Between first responders and grandparents. Both groups have all of this experience dealing with the public, grandparents have raised their own children, and now they find themselves in a situation where they're not necessarily the experts on that topic of autism.
Right, and you happen to have that expertise. You spent years guiding families through autism. You thought you knew the system inside and out, and you really did. It's just something changes when it hits home, right?
Definitely.
You found yourself on the other side of the desk. What were some of take us through kind of when a parent first, and I know there's somebody right now, when a parent first gets a diagnosis with their child, especially with autism, because it doesn't act the same in every child, you have no idea what to expect.
Right, exactly. And you're sort of going into it blind. You're not aware of what it even means. Yeah. And there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So really determining who are the experts and what is good information is crucial, and especially at the beginning, so that you understand what you're dealing with. Especially
for you, that you saw the wide range of what autism looked like. There were some kids who are nonverbal. There are some kids who you say, really, they're autistic? You would never think so, right? Because again, it doesn't present the same. So what were you thinking for your grandson? Because you didn't really know the full impact yet.
Right, we didn't know the full impact. We knew that he had some communication challenges. We knew that we were seeing some social deficits, but we didn't know where that would go. And I have to say that from the young age of 3 to where he is now at 8, every day is a surprise. Right. And that development, if I had any advice to parents, it's watch and see and learn about
and the
what
early
happens.
Intervention, right?
Yes,
that can make the big difference.
The early intervention makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, because here's the other thing. Once a child is diagnosed, a lot of parents are thinking, okay, well, we send them to school because there's a special ed department, they'll be okay. Not all schools are the same. There are federal mandates in terms of how kids need to be on the neurodivergent spectrum need to be taught, but not all schools do the same.
Right, exactly. And finding what kind of supports are needed within the school system and outside of the school system is just crucial for the success of your child.
And there are private schools that deal specifically with this, but they're cost prohibitive for a lot of families. So what's your best advice for those families?
So learn the laws, because there are federal laws that require schools, if they cannot support and address the needs of your child, that they're required to pay for a school that will. And that is crucial in terms of getting them that support they need.
Yeah, hold your ground there. Okay, you say that the first thing you need to do when dealing with, especially a grandparent dealing with your grandchild who may be on the spectrum, is to have a mindset shift. So many times, and I've said this earlier this month, we keep dealing with a child that we thought we were going to get versus a child we have sitting right in front of us.
Right. So forget about me being a school principal. I raised 2 kids on my own. I raised 2 kids. I felt like I knew something about raising children. I was the expert. expert. But when it comes to parents of kids with autism, they are truly the expert. And as a grandma, I had to take all those visions of what I thought a grandma would look like, and I had to throw them out the window.
Yeah, you got to help, but you also got to know your place, right?
New game plan.
Yeah. So 3 takeaways in particular. Follow the parent's lead.
Yes, follow the parent's lead because they are the expert. If they say he cannot eat something or cannot do something or prefers something, listen and do that thing.
Because that's even in behavior and stuff. Like, don't give in to them, because the repetitive nature of trying to discipline, for example, we know that sometimes kids who are autistic may have behavior issues, and so you got to modify that.
Right.
So, but the nature of a grandparent is to go, psst, come here, you want some candy? yeah, you want some candy? Oh, we'll go do that. Just don't tell your parents.
Right.
But you especially in a child who's neurodivergent, you got to stick to some of those rules.
Correct.
Okay. Change your perspective.
Yes, change your perspective. Don't focus on what isn't happening and what they can't do. Look at all of the progress and look at what they can do and support that and applaud that.
Yeah. Show up the right way.
Yes, don't worry about being perfect. Just show up. Just show up and look at what's needed and listen and provide.
Yeah. Okay. First Response Autism was founded by you in 2025. Tell us what that does.
So I had noticed police officers, I live in a beach community, dealing with individuals who were on the spectrum, that was my guess, who weren't able to communicate with them. And I thought, they need some more training and support to understand what it looks like to support someone with autism, because they're not giving you a hard time, right? A police officer out in the field thinks someone's giving them a hard time. That person is actually having a hard time.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, we have. And this is something that's taken root across the country. I'm going to give a shout out to Dr. Karen Jaggers, who is with Crime Stoppers of Houston, and they work with that program as well. And the story that she shares is that there was one young man, he's very tall, like 6'6" or something, right? Very tall, so he can be somebody that somebody can be afraid of already, just his size. But then he also, how he would act, and he didn't mean so. You're right, not giving a hard time, having a hard time. And he's not a good driver, apparently. And so they pulled him over and they said, have you been drinking? And he said, yes. He goes, but don't tell my mom. And they were like, okay. But he also knew to pull out a card and say, whenever I was pulled over by police officers, I'm supposed to have you call this number. It was the doctor. And the doctor could say, okay, I assure you he has not been drinking. And they go, no, he said he was drinking. He was driving badly. She goes, well, he's driving badly on his own. And so they finally asked him one more question. What were you drinking? I had a soda, and I'm not supposed to be drinking sodas. Right, so that's literal. Why. So yeah, very literal. And so they finally figured it out. But had not for a program like what you are part of, probably would have gone to jail, and all that process would have taken place when it really didn't need to happen. It's just about more understanding. All right, your bottom line with grandparents in particular, because they're not just babysitters, they can be much more of an asset to any family, but especially when you're dealing with neurodivergent children.
My bottom line is just be there. Just really provide the support, the resources. Having autism and providing all those therapies is very expensive.
Yeah.
And if a grandparent can help support that aspect of it, wonderful. And my most important that I mention at every turn is get swimming lessons for your grandchild.
Ooh, absolutely, you're right. There's been several cases that we've seen where, because they're attracted to water, as most kids might be, but not being able to swim is what...
93% of accidental deaths among people with special needs involve water. 93%.
All right. Thank you so much. And I think this book, Grandparenting on the Spectrum, can be kind of a resource that grandparents can have and share with the parents of that child as well. So thank you very much. You can purchase your copy of Grandparenting on the Spectrum, A Journey from Both Sides of the Desk, wherever books are sold. To learn more about First Response Autism and to join the Grandparenting on the Spectrum community, visit greatdayhouston.com and we will connect you.